We can be an eccentric bunch, can't we? Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Britishisms that always confuse the rest of the world. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we'll be looking at the British behaviours and mannerisms that often leave the rest of the planet scratching their heads, and hopefully will supply some sort of clarity in the process. So, here goes. Number 10. Euphemisms.
If I say, would you like to grasp my rod, that's innuendo.
Sometimes, well, a lot of the time, classic British politeness can get in the way of us Brits expressing our true feelings and saying what we actually mean. And while other countries do use euphemisms, few throw them into casual conversation quite as willingly as we do.
That's not a euphemism.
So if we reckon that someone's kicked the bucket, that someone hasn't actually kicked anything, because they're dead. If someone's getting on a bit, then they're old. If they are not the sharpest pencil, then they're one sandwich short, and by that we mean they're not the brightest, as in, they're dumb. If you're strong and stable, you're probably on the brink of catastrophe. Pretty simple, really. Number 9. Plane, train and bird spotting.
Is it just us who are like this? The British, I mean. Are there any train spotters in Sicily?
Similar to how the Hollywood paparazzi might stake out a spot for hours to get a snapshot of the likes of Kim Kardashian or Leo DiCaprio, a contingent of hardy Brits do the same for the southeastern service to Three Bridges. Hey, it's still more entertaining than the Kardashians and certainly more useful. But it's not just train spotting that tickles British fancies, there's also the exhilarating rush of plane and bird spotting.
I know a cracking owl sanctuary. How about it?
Which gives a whole new, more literal meaning to the phrase, is it a bird, is it a plane? Because, well, it's both. What luck! Thank heavens we didn't write Superman, right? Number 8. Using 2 taps instead of 1. As if the humble downstairs loo wasn't enough to blow the minds of non-Brits in the first place. Once they're inside, anyone who's not from these parts is soon struck with the shocking realisation that there's not 1, but 2 taps. As cultural stereotypes kick in, they ponder whether one is for lager or tea. But no, rather than hot and cold water coming from the same place, for most Brits it comes out of 2 entirely separate openings. They're usually labelled or colour-coded, but what if they're not? You could soon find yourself scalded or uncomfortably frozen. Blimey, the fun. Number 7. Hot drinks in high summer.
It's very hot. It's too hot. What's the temperature?
No, I'm not 12.
Record-breaking high temperatures. Everyone's flocked to the beach like sweaty sardines. Shops have run out of electrical fans. Doctors' surgeries are inundated with heatstroke complaints. And yet, you still can't say no to a cuppa, can you? The planet could be hit by a solar flare direct from the sun and someone somewhere would still be sticking the kettle on. While anyone from outside the UK would likely take the obvious action of hydrating themselves with an ice-cold beverage in extreme heat, Brits aren't stereotyped as tea drinkers for nothing. And it's scientifically proven to help cool you down anyway. Just saying.
Perfect.
I'll get the kettle on.
Number 6. Car boot sales. In a technological age, you can order goods from anywhere in the world, at any time, straight to your doorstep. Whatever the cost, condition or necessity of any item, it's but a button click away from being yours. But even the heady highs of contemporary living won't stop a Brit from setting their alarm to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to see what bargain they can land in the middle of a muddy field from out the back of somebody's car.
£5. Well, it is the Holy Grail. Fiver. Take it or leave it.
The argument that it's easier to trade online doesn't deter the sellers either. Because why bother making daily treks to the post office to drop off endless eBay parcels when you can just hand it over for cold hard cash on a windy Wimbledon common?
French oak, 1890s, gateway to Narnia. Lovely marquetry work on the doors. £2.50.
Number 5. Sarcastic protest slogans.
Down with this sort of thing. Careful now.
While we're all too used to protesters brandishing signs decorated with angry slogans, straightforward ire isn't really our style. Instead, we like to get creative and crack a few jokes for good measure. This particular trend was no more evident than when US President Donald Trump made a controversial trip to the UK in 2018. Such headings on display were Trump as welcome as a World Cup third place playoff and that hair is a Horcrux. It's yet to be confirmed if J.K. Rowling herself was holding that particular placard, or if Voldemort's face lives on the back of Trump's head. Number 4. The sending and receiving of greeting cards. Okay, so this one's not something that only happens in the UK, but few places write, post or proudly display anywhere near as many cards as in Britain. Having an array of birthday cards lovingly assembled across a shelf or mantelpiece just isn't as common elsewhere. Nor is stringing up your Christmas cards to dangle across the living room wall, or having multiple stores along most high streets dedicated to the token gestures in their various forms. Because don't forget, it's not just the obvious cards that Brits exchange, there's also congratulations cards, sorry it's late cards, thank you for your thank you cards. Yeah, the list goes on.
Happy Christmas and oh God, my writing's getting worse than ever.
Number 3, not tipping as standard. In some parts of the world, and in North America especially, tipping is practically mandatory. But here, it's definitely optional, and it's an option to be thought long and hard about before taking.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
It's true that should someone from the US choose to work as a waiter in London, for example, they may be left dumbfounded at not receiving a few extra quid from clearly satisfied customers. However, most Brits will, sometimes begrudgingly, pay up out of plain old-fashioned politeness, and the lack of a guaranteed tip means that British bosses don't have an excuse to supply unreasonably low wages. For every cloud, eh? Number 2, saying sorry when you've not done anything wrong.
Hi everyone, my name's Jim, and I have a fear of apologies.
Sorry?
Sorry, but Brits do tend to say sorry a lot, and a lot of the time we aren't even that apologetic about whatever prompted our apparent regret. You might say it when you've simply misheard what someone has said, at no fault of anyone's. You might start asking for a favour by strangely apologising for it first.
I'm sorry, you've got to be f***ing kidding.
Okay!
Hey, even when someone else clearly has done something wrong to us, like barging past us in the street, we'll more than likely find ourselves saying sorry to them, and basically apologising on their behalf, so they don't have to. Please, well, just tell us you forgive us so we can all move on. Ooh, that did sound a little demanding, didn't it? Sorry about that. Number 1, creative swearing.
You cunning git!
Being the cheeky gits that we are, us Brits have come up with various unique swear words that, if used to insult an outsider, can even leave the outsider not realising that they've actually just been insulted. The daft sods.
Oh, everyone knows fast benders.
For example, if someone calls you a pillock or a numpty, chances are they don't believe that you're very bright. And if you don't understand that, then your numpty status only increases. Elsewhere, we have a myriad of misdirecting terms to describe how drunk someone is, or was. And when it comes to voicing our own frustration, there's a plethora of pretty weird ways to do so.
Bollocks! Bollocks is a handy word.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo UK, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.